Um, I've not. Feels like I've not done a video in a long time, but I've tried to sit down to make this about just sort of 3 or 4 times in the last few days. I just don't know. Not had. I've sort of had the want, and I just really want to make a video, but I'm just not quite in the groove. I've just got this feeling I'm going to be talking absolute bollocks, more so than normal. But yeah, there's this nostalgia thing been going around. I don't know. I like I think nostalgia is important and it's powerful. It's a powerful thing. So I've already wanted. I really wanted to stick my oar in. Stick my oar in. That's me sticking my oar in. But no one. It was a tag. No one tagged me. And I'm not taking that personally. But yeah, no one tagged me. So I thought, be a bit proactive. I'm rarely proactive. I'm not. I'm probably the least proactive person that you could ever have the misfortune to meet. But I thought on this occasion I'm going to be proactive. So I thought, no, I'm going to have a go. That's Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire, or Fall of the Roman Empire. Just about see it. So I thought, because going back a while now, I know Wouter, the Highlander, made a video about nostalgia, and that was a response to someone else. I can't remember who that was. And then there's been a tag going around, and Ben Muso had a go and tagged a load of other people. Didn't tag me, but like I said, I won't take it personally. And it was about top 5 list of nostalgic games. Yeah, I thought I wanted to have a go because it's important to me. Not sort of majorly important, but I can see sort of how powerful it is, and I think it's sort of sort of underrated. People, it can sort of affect you in really positive ways. More so than just a sort of superficial sort of I suppose, would you call it some sort of rush of endorphins? I don't know. Is that what you get? But I mean, I know my nan, for instance. My nan sort of essentially lives in the past, so she's all about nostalgia, and she's 95 and not in the best of health, but she essentially lives in her war years and talks about them all the time. And so I suppose sort of a nostalgia is even is a bigger thing for her. And to me, so that's massively important to her. But to me, nostalgia. See, I'm already talking bullshit. I can tell. It's about absence. All the videos I've watched, these list videos, have been about games people have got. For me, it feels different. It's about things that I don't have, things that I can remember. It's more about what's up here rather than what's in front of me. Nostalgia, because it's more about evoking a time and a place. And I suppose when something's right there in front of me, my relationship with that object changes, or that game changes, or that film, or that music. And and originally they're about that time and place in the past. And if you encounter them again in such a way, then, or for me, my relationship changes with that game, and it's more about the present. For instance, I've had a load of games. What did I have? I made a little list. Like, for instance, a couple of games that I went for a long time and I didn't have copies of. Operation C, probably the most recent one. Suikoden. I didn't have access to. I think games like Shining Force. All about nostalgia. Huge, just sort of like nostalgia rush when I first got to play them. It was built around that absence, not having them, and then it's that that sort of lack of contact. Oh, gee, what is this I'm talking about? I don't know, but it's almost like a sort of it's a big wave that sort of hits you. You must know that. You've got to know that, haven't you? And if you have access to that, it's more of like you drip feed it if you have, I think more so now with YouTube, when you have literally access to anything you can remember the name of, you can type it in or Google, and then you can see, and you can, if you don't have direct use of that game or that sort of film or that music, you can at least get something which triggers that memory. I smell bullshit. But yeah, so for me, in that sense, sorry, itchy ear, it's more about absence. And so again, I was nostalgic for Operation C, and just last Christmas, I was able to buy myself a copy. And as soon as I got to play it again, I think I'd not played it since I was a teenager. I remember I sold my Game Boy to my friend, my Israeli friend called Gad, for £100 with a load of games, and I brought it to school, and he gave me two £50 notes, and that's the only time I've ever had two £50 or any £50 notes at school. I was walking around with two £50 notes in my pocket at school, but yeah, and from that point on, I hadn't played Operation C, and actually playing it all came flooding back. But then from that point on, I was sort of playing it again. So the whole nostalgia thing. I'm not saying it sort of filtered away, but it changed. My perspective changed. My relationship with the game changed. So in that sense, it's more about it's my nostalgia comes from up here rather than sort of direct contact with evoking a time and place through playing the game. It's through remembering the game. I think it's taken me a while to actually make that point. So but it's still a powerful thing. Either way, it's still a massively powerful thing, and it can bring about some quite strong emotions, and connections, and sometimes sort of melancholy because it's connected with sort of the past and loss, and it shows you that life is it's transient, isn't it? It's ephemeral. It sort of floats away on the wind, and things like that. You can get that game back, but it will never be 100% how it was because you're no longer that old. You're now a lot older, and different. Your mind's changed, and so then your relationship with that game is different. Maybe that's the point. I don't know, but I thought I'd do the tag anyway, or make the list anyway, because using that sort of idea that it's more about games that I can remember, and they evoke a particular time and place. Games that I don't necessarily have access to now. Probably one of the major ones. It's probably the only one I've actually got. I can't play because I haven't got an Amiga. I bought it in a charity shop. It's North and South. Bought it in a charity shop going back a couple of years. Don't have an Amiga. I can't ever see myself having an Amiga. I bought it with the idea that somebody might want it because I know it's a great game. But in a weird way, I'm quite happy to keep hold of it because my friends, one of my best friends at school, my best friend at school had an Amiga. I didn't have an Amiga. A load of kids at school had an Amiga. I didn't have one. And this was I used to spend a lot of time around his house because I had an Amstrad and he had an Amiga. So, in the pecking order, Amiga trumps Amstrad. And so we'd spend more time around his house than mine, but then I got a Mega Drive. But so North and South was one of my favourite games on his Amiga. But then it got to the point where he'd had enough of it, but I loved it because he wasn't so much into that sort of pseudo-strategy type games where I was. But every time I'd go around there, I'd go, can we play North and South? And he'd go, no, I don't want to play North and South. He was more into Sensible Soccer and Kick-Off or Kick-Off 2. And I liked both those games, but in all the time he had his Amiga, I don't ever remember actually scoring a goal in Kick-Off 2. Generally, don't ever remember one. And I got sick of losing. But I think the playing field was a bit more equal in this, and it's just nice variation in gameplay. Sort of quite a basic strategy. It's just a brilliant sense of humour, really really funny sense of humour, and yeah, I don't know who's it's about Infogrames. It's that sort of it's about North and South. It's a very cartoony approach to the American Civil War, and you have to take territory and win these little small scale battles with cavalry, infantry, and cannons. And some of them have. Always remember that certain battlefields, when you encounter the enemy on a certain territory in a certain state, some of the battlefields have strategic sort of choke points like bridges and things. And there's always it was always sort of a race to who could blow up the bridge first. Although that sort of basically made the battle null and void, because it became a sort of a cannon battle, an artillery battle from that point. But very funny, very funny. Great sense of humour. There were certain gameplay elements that were almost impossible, like you had to storm the forts and trains as well, which I remember being impossible, literally impossible. Well, they felt like they were impossible, but they probably weren't. But they felt at the time. I think those that were there, it's basically like sort of side-scrolling. There's always different gameplay elements. There's like the main world map, and it's those as well. But that was the main sort of the large-scale battles. But yeah, so that was North and South. A lot of nostalgia for that. I've still got a lot of nostalgia for it. But obviously because I can't play it because I don't have an Amiga. But that's the thing. It made me think, with all these tags going around, it made me think that with things like YouTube and having direct access to stuff, I think from this point on we'll all have a different approach to nostalgia, because it's sort of access to those sorts of things are readily available. If they're not, like I said, you don't have direct access to the game itself. You can see video footage, or of whatever game, or it's you're nostalgic for something else, where it's like I said, music, film, television. You can go to YouTube or whatever other website, and all of this stuff is all readily available to watch. So that triggers your nostalgia. So whether or not there will ever be that element of absence, so then from this point on we'll have this major nostalgia rush. I don't know. It'll be a different approach. Well, I think anyway. What do I know? So yeah, these next ones, I've actually got a bit of a list here. I haven't really decided which ones I'm going to pick. I've just got a short list of about 9 games. I only sort of picked North and South because it's the only one I've got direct access to. So if I can be asked, I'll put in a few like pictures, screenshots, or whatever. So you know what I'm talking about. Right, what should I go with? My heading is Nostalgia Games Shortlist. Arcade games, certain arcade games. I'm not going to say arcade games, but again, that's about evoking a time and a place. Arcade games. There's too many to list. Everybody knows. In the heyday of arcade games, the major machines, and any one of those is about evoking a time and a place. But Amstrad games, I'm going to go with Gauntlet 2. Gauntlet 2. Probably my most played game. Me and my sister used to play it non-stop, because as long as you had one of you still alive, you had sort of continuous. You had almost like infinite lives. You could join in as long as there was someone else still alive. So we could play on sort of ad infinitum. Well, that's how it felt. There must have been an end of the game, but we never got there. But I can remember sort of playing ourselves into a sort of a corner, and essentially we didn't have any keys and we couldn't get out off the level. Those sorts of situations came about regularly, but it was just, I remember sort of like the gameplay evolutions, sort of like the extra added elements that they added onto the original Gauntlet, all the new all the new characters, all the new enemies and things like that, and they had all these things called its and that. I'm sure they did, didn't they? And that somehow that even tweaked the gameplay even more, and so it was just all these. I think if it touches you, all the enemies go after you, things like that. I can't remember, but in my head, it's the best thing ever. It's in it, and I remember back to the time when me and my sister would sit in front of my old Amstrad for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and it's just good times, as they say. A couple of other, I think I'd go Space Crusade. That was an Amstrad game. It was a demo. I had a demo from Amstrad Power, I think it was, and like I said, if did I say that? Yeah, I'll try and maybe, if I can be asked, add in some pictures. Space Crusade. It was basically the first pardon me, a demo of the first level. And it's probably my first encounter with sort of turn-based strategy games, and they're one of my favourite games. From that point on, this was probably my first encounter, and I think it was by the same guy who did like Laser Squad. Maybe I wouldn't actually, probably not. I don't know. I'm just saying, it's off the top of my head. It feels like it was, but it had the whole dice rolling thing, which obviously Laser Squad and then XCOM didn't have, but Space Crusade did. Roll the dice. So then I never actually completed it. It was basically the first level. Never completed it. It was tough. I'd get to the Dreadnought and could never kill this bastard. I'd just sort of like throw everything I had left at it, but never kill it. But I would love to play that again. Strangely, I've watched YouTube videos of the game, and even not necessarily the Amstrad version, but versions of the game. And it's not exactly how I remember it, which is odd. So playing that game would pop that balloon, that memory that I've got. It sort of brings some sort of element of reality. But right, choice of two more. What shall I have? Football Masters on my mate's Amiga. Again, another Amiga game. Football Masters. It was a regular thing. We would. He was a member of the Junior Gunners, and we would. I wasn't an Arsenal fan, but him and his mate Daniel, or my friend Daniel as well, we would go and watch Arsenal on a Saturday afternoon, stand in the Junior Gunners at Highbury, and then we'd come back to Adam's house and we'd literally play Football Masters solid. Maybe not through the night, but as soon as we got back, we'd play it for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on end. When we were about sort of 13, 14. Just such good times. Simpler times. You didn't have the the worries and the responsibilities. Not that I've got that many responsibilities as a sort of almost 39-year-old. Not that I've got many more responsibilities, but just a few. It evokes a time and place. It's a manager game. If people don't really know what it is, a manager game, and it was using real players, and it was. I just remember it had that sort of compulsive element to it that manager games have. You have to keep on playing, and the fact there was a whole load of us all playing at the same time made it even better. And then you have the sort of like the grudge matches and things like that. And thinking back, it's a pretty basic manager game, but there was something about it. It was probably my first exposure to football manager games, and I don't play them that often now, but there was a time when I was hooked, and I would quite happily play them again because they're compulsive and they're addictive. But again, thinking back to that game, it connects to that that time and that place. We'd go and watch Arsenal, and then good times. Finally, some Game Boy games. We've got a choice of three here, but I'm going to go with Nintendo World Cup. Nintendo World Cup. Just a sort of cheap, nasty, arcadey football game. But probably not my favourite Game Boy game. But I can remember loving it. Or being frustrated with it, and it feeling unfair. But then I can remember playing it solidly because as a kid, as everyone says, you don't have that many games. So the ones you do have, you play a lot. And that was one of those sorts of games I played it a lot to the point where I could put it in and I could beat it. And one of my major memories, connections with this game, is going to Thorpe Park and then playing it in the car on the way back and beating it, you know. And that was a good time. So my connection with my Game Boy and Nintendo World Cup evokes sitting in a car coming back from Thorpe Park. You know, no other game has that connection. But if I bought a copy now, and I'm tempted to, if I bought a copy now, my relationship with that game would change. My memories would, I'd create new memories. I'd probably sit on my arse when I should be doing more constructive things. And sort of my relationship with the game would be more about wasting my time, rather than being sat in that car coming back from Thorpe Park, as a youth, as a youth without any worries. But anyway, to get a bit philosophical now, I think I should probably call it a day. Yeah, so thanks for watching. There are more videos on the way. I just want to say thanks to Stu, Ninja Bear Hug, for nominating me for YouTuber of the Month. I've not actually mentioned it since, but I don't know. I mean, I don't really know what to say, to be honest. I don't generally don't generally vote in those sort of things because I like to see YouTube as a sort of non-competitive thing. So, but I do really appreciate Stu like nominating me because to think that somebody thinks I might be worthy, something like that. But again, I prefer to think that YouTube's non-competitive. But so that's not that I don't appreciate being nominated, but congratulations to anybody who wins. I'm not expecting to win, but because I don't generally, I'm slightly too incommunicative. Is that the right word? I don't know. An antisocial bastard. Anyway, but either way, I just want to say thanks to Stu for nominating me. So yes, right. Yeah, more videos on the way. There will be a pickups video. I'm going to do this one now because at least it's not a pickups video. Just Jesus, But can I be asked to film it now? No, I'll probably wait for a couple of days. I feel like I'm a bit on a roll, so I probably should do it now. But no. I'll let you go. And yeah, I'm because no one tagged me for this tag. I'm not going to tag anyone else. I'm just going to screw you. But anyway, yeah. Thanks for watching and. Cheers, people. Oh, thanks for any subs. I think through being nominated, I got quite a few subs, but I haven't had so many notifications. But thank you. If I've not said thank you, like personally, thank you for subscribing. So, yeah. And look out for more videos. Thanks for watching.